Welcome to Let's Talk Red Hill, your source for the latest updates and insights on the Navy's progress at the Red Hill Bulk Fuel Storage Facility. This podcast is dedicated to keeping you informed, addressing your concerns, and sharing progress straight from the experts leading the way.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rear Admiral Mark Williams, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Red Hill. Joining us today is Mr. Stephen Chow, our facilities deputy director here at the Navy Closure Task Force. Steve, thank you for joining us. Why don't you tell the audience a little about yourself?
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here. It's an honor to share information with the community. I think it's very important. First off, I went to school at UCLA. I have a degree in mechanical engineering. I moved to the islands in 2007 to be with my wife's family. We live on the windward side. I spent several years as a consulting mechanical engineer and earned my professional engineering license in 2012 and joined the Navy in 2015. In that period, I've worked on several shore facilities for the Navy to make sure that everything's up and running, ready to go for the warfighter. The last few years, I've been working on Red Hill. Recently, I was part of the Joint Task Force to perform the emergency repairs and to defuel the facility, and I'm with the Closure Task Force to close the facility.
Thanks, Steve, and we're happy to have you as part of the team. So last month, the task force reached a significant milestone when we started tank cleaning operations or pressure washing operations. What's the progress we're making there?
Progress is good for tanks 7 and 8. We did encounter a few things, but you never know what's going to be in the tank until you open it up. And right now we are ahead of schedule, and we are finished with tank 7 and almost finished with tank 8.
And we have other tanks also in the process getting ready to actually start as well?
That's correct. We have a total of 6 tanks that we're actively working on right now at different phases. Tank 7 and 8 definitely are ahead of schedule or leading the schedule with the tank cleaning process. Tanks 5 and 6 are being prepared with structural modifications to make it safe to be in there. And then we're getting ready to degas tanks 3 and 4.
So pressure washing, which is ongoing right now in 7 and 8, that's something we've done before, correct?
That's correct. The Navy has a centrally managed program to clean and inspect and repair all their tanks in the Department of the Navy. So the cleaning process is definitely the first phase of that, and we have industry leaders as our contractors come in and do the various phases. The current contractor that's on site now actually has experience with Red Hill. They've cleaned and inspected and repaired several of the tanks in the past. Cleaning is not an innovative process. It's a little more complicated at Red Hill because you have to be suspended in these booms and baskets. But otherwise, pretty normal, straightforward stuff.
Got it. So you mentioned, right, booms and buggies. So obviously inherently dangerous for the folks to be out there. But walk me through, what's a typical day look like for one of those team members that's out there actually, pressure washing?
So the contractors always start every day off with a safety brief. After the safety brief and they understand what their workload is for the day, they'll go through and inspect their equipment and prepare it for deployment. Once up in the booms and baskets, they'll pressure wash for a little bit, take an hour or take a period for lunch, and then finish up cleaning for a little bit after lunch, and then demobilize all their equipment, make sure it's inspected and put away properly.
So you mentioned, right, this is inherently dangerous work for these folks. What are the other things that we're doing to ensure that our team members are safe?
Well, definitely safety is a concern, both the Navy and the contractor. The contractor has cleared the tank to be occupied by ensuring that a marine chemist certifies it gas-free. That makes it breathable for the workers to be there. While the employees are out on the basket, they have full body harnesses with the lanyards for fall protection. They're also wearing full body suits to protect them from the spray, full face respirators, gloves, hard hat, and hearing protection. So they're fairly well protected from the spray and anything that comes off the tank.
So you mentioned, right, 7 and 8, we're progressing along and we're pretty close to being done. How do we know we've cleaned the tank enough?
So the Closure Task Force has submitted a tank cleanliness verification plan to the regulators, and the EPA and the DOH have approved that. It's based off a visual inspection from a certified third party to ensure that there's no residual fuel film that may basically prevent a coating to be adhered to the surface.
So if we're able to coat it, we know it's clean because there's nothing in it preventing that adherence of that coating.
That's correct. And the inspector is third party, as I mentioned, and it is certified in that particular inspection.
Thanks, Steve, for that update. And again, I think before we close out, I want to remind the public, right? We've got an app where folks can see the status on a tank by tank basis of what stage that tank is in, and then we also do have the upcoming webinar that will provide a more in-depth update on the tank cleaning process and the progress we're making. But again, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
For audience, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Let's Talk Red Hill.
Mahalo for listening to Let's Talk Red Hill. Stay tuned for our next episode, and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date. Be sure to download the mobile app by searching NCTF Red Hill in the Apple Store or Google Play.